Good afternoon, and I'm calling this October 21st, 2021 meeting of the Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District Board of Directors to order. We're here in the Santa Barbara hearing room with many participating remotely. I'm Joan Hartman, Vice Chair, and Chair Perotti is participating remotely today. So will the clerk please read the housekeeping details for participants participating remotely?
Certainly. A couple of housekeeping reminders for all participants. Members of the public who wish to address the board today on any matter listed on the agenda or during the public comment period may do so in person or remotely via Zoom. For those participating in person, participation is available today at the County Administration Building Board of Supervisors hearing room located at 105 East Anapamu Street, 4th floor in Santa Barbara. Please complete and deliver a speaker slip to the clerk before the item is considered. All public participants attending today's Air Pollution Control District Board of Directors meeting are required to wear a face mask or covering at all times, regardless of vaccination status, per County Health Officer Order Number 2021-10.5. For those participating via Zoom, all panelists, this includes all APCD board members, please remember to mute your mic when not speaking. If you would like to comment, use the raised hand button. To do this, click on the participant icon at the bottom of your screen. The panelist sidebar will appear. On the bottom right of the sidebar, click on the ellipses icon, and from there you can click the raise hand button. If you're an attendee, this includes APCD staff and all members of the public, including those participating via telephone. You will be on listen-only mode. All attendees will remain on listen-only mode unless unmuted by the board clerk to provide public comment. The public will not be able to share their video or screen even if unmuted. When public comment is called for on an agenda item, attendees may use the raised hand button at the bottom of the screen to express desire to provide public comment for that item. You will be unmuted when it is your turn. Those participating via telephone can raise their hands by dialing *9. Comments from the public, both in person and remote, are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Thank you, and that concludes the housekeeping reminders.
And Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Certainly. Director Williams? Director Nelson?
Aye. Are here.
Thank you, Director Nelson. Director Lavnino?
I'm here.
Director Sierra?
Here.
Director Clark?
Here.
Director Perotti?
I'm here.
Director Julian?
Here.
Director Osborne?
Here.
Director Patino? Director Infanti?
Here.
Director Hart? Director Murillo?
Here.
And Chair Hartman.
Here. Please stand and join me in the pledge. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So our first item of business is a report on the circumstances of the COVID-19 state of emergency. Madam Clerk, will you read that into the record?
Item C, report on circumstances of the COVID-19 state of emergency. C1, receive and file the following. 1A, an update that the state and county remain under a proclaimed state of emergency related to COVID-19. And 1B, public health recommendation issued September 28, 2021 regarding social distancing. C2, provide direction to staff about the location of the next meeting.
And Ms. Richardson, our counsel, you'll make a presentation, discussion on this?
Good afternoon, Director Hartman and rest of the board. So some of members may have already come across a similar action with your membership on other boards, but I want to give a little bit of background on this item. So the Brown Act has always permitted teleconferencing, but prior to COVID-19, certain requirements needed to be met, such as posting the location of each member and allowing the public to attend at all of those locations. During COVID, executive orders suspended compliance with these requirements, but those executive orders have now expired. So the state legislature passed AB 361, and it was signed by the governor, amending portions of the Brown Act that currently provide the opportunity for legislative bodies such as this board to continue to meet remotely if certain requirements are met. And for our purposes today, those requirements are that we remain under state or local state of emergency, and that the public health officer has recommended social distancing. So today, the agenda is set up to just receive and file that information and provide an opportunity for the board to provide any direction for future hearings if you would like to remain remote or return to in-person. If you would like to return to in-person, that is allowed, and we would update future agendas just to reflect that. If the board would like to remain remote, then within every 30 days, the board would need to reconsider the COVID situation and whether we remain under a state of local emergency and whether the public health officer continues to recommend social distancing. Control Officer ARLIN has some additional information to add, but I'm happy to answer any questions and also recommend that we call for public comment before concluding this item.
I have just a little bit more to add. If emergency conditions continue and your board wishes to meet remotely in the future, we've identified November 18th as a date for our special meeting. This date also coincides with SBCAG's meeting in November, so we can gather as we typically do following that board meeting. Realizing AB 361 requires board action every 30 days, our next regularly scheduled meeting in December is set for December 16th, which falls within the 30-day window if we were to move forward with the remote consideration in November. However, in January, we are set to meet in our regular schedule on January 20th, so that would be outside of the 30-day window and would require a special meeting to accommodate the 30-day meeting interval. That concludes my input.
Okay, so I guess the initial question is, do we want to continue meeting remotely? And if we do, then we have to meet on November 18th after the SBCAG meeting. Could we meet right away after that meeting closes so that we don't have a gap?
Yeah, we could have it will be a special meeting, and we can indicate that on the agenda itself.
Okay, do directors have some comments or preferences on this?
Steve Lavanino does have his hand
right.
raised.
Director
Thank you.
Lavanino.
Well, I'm all for continuing, the manner in which we're holding meetings, but November 18th, if I'm not mistaken, and I just got contacted about this, is also the ribbon cutting for the North County Jail. And so I was asked by the Sheriff's Department if that was going to conflict with SBCAG and APCD, which it will. So I think they're just realizing that. I'm not sure if they're thinking of moving that or if members, how we feel about that. But I think board members, at least Board of Supervisor members, are probably going to be hanging out at the jail. So just a little heads up on that.
Yes, I mean, it seems to me there would be more discretion given that the jail opening, I don't believe, requires Brown Act open meeting compliance. So maybe it seems like they ought to change that one. Otherwise, it's SBCAG, and we don't have anybody here to talk about that.
Another option we could consider, depending on the ribbon cutting and the scheduling, we can always hold the APCD special meeting earlier in the morning, right before the SBCAG meeting, if they continue with the November 18th schedule.
Microphone's off. Can you
Oh
repeat?
my, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you. I was just indicating if it would help accommodate the ribbon cutting ceremony, we can always hold the APCD board meeting earlier in the morning before SBCAG. And then also if SBCAG elects to change their meeting date in total, then we can follow that schedule as well, as long as it remains within the 30-day window of this meeting.
Director Lavanino, do you have a time for the?
I don't. I was just looking. I thought it said 8 o'clock, but it does say details and time are to be determined. So I think 8 o'clock was just me putting it on my calendar at the beginning of the day. So I don't have a time yet.
This is Director Osborne. I just looked up the invitation I received and it stated at 10 a.m. and I sent back a message to the sheriff's office saying this directly conflicts with SBCAG and expecting all of at least the county officers to be there. And I have not heard back from them. So I'm that it directly conflicts with SBCAG, not necessarily APCD.
Yes. Are there any other comments, or I'll make a proposal?
I was going to say, Director Osborne, this is Supervisor Lavanino, and if you've ever heard the sheriff give a speech, it will also conflict with APCD at 1 o'clock. So,
Especially it's taken the jail a long while to come online. So, I again, we can't speak for SBCAG, but I do believe at least that we have an obligation to attend that. I think the AM meeting is a good idea for APCD. It would be very brief, and it would just be to set the date for the December 16th meeting, and then we'll go with SBCAG, and then if SBCAG would change, we would still have our APCD meeting early before the ribbon cutting. So we'll see how this unfolds. Is that adequate?
Director Nelson also has a hand raised.
Go ahead, Bob.
Great, thanks, Joan. Is it possible for us to do a motion to authorize the chair to work on the scheduling of this so that some of these logistics can be worked out?
Board and chair, I think that's fine. The
Okay.
chair generally has discretion to set a special meeting as is, so the chair could listen to this direction, and then that would inform setting it going forward.
Sure, and that would be Chair Perotti.
Right.
But at least what we would have it as a hypothesis is that we do, as I suggested, the APCD early and then SBCAG.
Right.
Is
That
that
gives us
okay,
flexibility.
Director Perotti?
That sounds fine with me. I will follow through with that.
Okay, any other comments on this item?
No board
No?
members have a hand up.
Okay, so we don't need a vote on that. So the next item is closed session. And will the clerk please read that item into the record?
Item D, closed session. D1, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation. Paragraph 1 of subdivision D of Government Code Section 54956.9. Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District and ARLIN GENET Air Pollution Control Officer versus California Asphalt Production, Inc. Santa Barbara County Superior Court Case Number 20CV03790.
Okay, so we'll adjourn to closed session, and then we'll be back here for the rest of our meeting agenda after that.
At the moment, all board members participating via Zoom, please log off of open session Zoom meeting and log into the closed session Zoom meeting. Once closed session concludes, please log back into open session. Thank you.
So we're
I'll type it.
reconvening our meeting of October 20th, October 21st, 2021, after closed session. Council Richardson, would you report out, please?
In closed session, the board conducted a conference with legal counsel related to Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District versus California asphalt production and took no reportable action. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is approval of our minutes of August 19th, 2021. Is there any discussion of these minutes? And if not, could I get a motion and a second for approval?
So moved, Julian.
Second, Patino.
Thank you. And Madam Clerk, will you call the vote?
Director Nelson? Oh, Director Nelson left the meeting. Director Lavanino?
Aye.
Director Sierra?
Aye.
Director Clark?
Aye.
Director Perotti?
Aye.
Director Julian?
Aye.
Director Osborne?
Aye.
Director Patino?
Aye.
Director Infante?
Aye.
Director Hart?
Aye.
Director Murillo?
Aye.
One more call for Director Nelson for approval of the minutes.
Aye.
Thank you, Director Nelson. And Chair Hartman.
Aye. So that takes us to our administrative items. Are there any administrative items that directors would like to pull? I would like to pull F3.
Administrative item F3, update on public outreach activities. Receive and file an update on district outreach activities.
I just wanted to say that I heard Liz Banelon on KCLU talking about smoke and air quality. It was an extended interview, and it was superbly done. It was absolutely stupendous. I don't know if they would give us permission to put that on our website, but it was extremely informative, and I felt so proud.
Thank you, Director Hartman.
We actually have that link included on a presentation you'll be hearing from Liz in a few minutes. So it will be in her presentation and available, but as far as placing it predominantly on our Clean Air Room website would be something we could look into.
Okay. So do I take it there were no other administrative items to be pulled? Okay. Are there any public comments on or a desire to pull any item by the public?
Chair Hartman, we received no public comment.
May I have a motion to approve the administrative agenda?
So moved.
And I will second. And could you call the vote?
Director Nelson?
Aye.
Director Lavanino?
Aye.
Director Sierra? Director Clark?
Aye.
Director Perotti?
Aye.
Director Julian?
Aye.
Director Osborne?
Aye.
Director Patino?
Aye.
Director Infante?
Aye.
Director Hart? Director Murillo?
Aye.
One more call for Director Sierra for administration.
Aye.
Thank you, Director.
Sorry
Sierra.
about that.
No problem. And Chair Hartman.
Aye.
Thank you.
And next is our director's report. Ms. ARLIN Genet.
All right. I have a number of items I'd like to share with the board. First off, I thought it would be most appropriate to talk about air quality update and the Alisal fire. The week of October 11th, we started off with our region experiencing high winds and dry conditions that generated significant dust countywide. On Monday, the same day the Alisal fire started, we exceeded the state 24-hour PM10 standard of 50 micrograms per cubic meter at 3 of our stations, Lompoc, Santa Barbara, and the Las Flores Canyon. This was the first exceedance to the state PM10 standard in 2021. These occurred on the day that the fire started, but they were not associated with the fire. With the start of the Alisal fire, smoke impacts were very visible from the beginning. We were very fortunate that although the Alisal fire had initial challenges related to high winds, most of the smoke moved offshore quickly. Throughout most of the fire, at the ground level, Santa Barbara County residents experienced good to moderate air quality. However, we did measure elevated levels of PM 2.5 from Tuesday, October the 12th, through Thursday, the 14th, due to the smoke. Primarily, this high elevated PM conditions was located in South County. On Tuesday, the Santa Barbara station had a high hourly concentration that was unhealthy for sensitive groups from 1 to 2 p.m. So it's interesting. It was only such a limited amount of time. However, visually speaking, it was significant, and it was definitely top of the mind for a lot of individuals. Due to the dynamic conditions of the fire and smoke impacts and the large plume of smoke over the ocean, an air quality watch was issued on Tuesday by both the Air District and Public Health to ensure public residents were aware of the resources available to assess local conditions and take action if necessary. On Wednesday, the wind conditions started to change, and some of the smoke that was offshore began blowing onshore. With support from the City of Carpinteria, APCD staff was able to deploy a portable PM device at the city offices to measure PM 2.5. This information was able to go right to the fire and smoke map that AirNow, that EPA has. So it was good to have that resource available to the general public as well. On Wednesday, October 13th, we experienced the highest level of PM at South County locations, and our air quality watch was elevated to an air quality alert. Also Wednesday, the district's website was changed to utilize our wildfire smoke splash page. This is something that we generated when we upgraded our website. We wanted to have a resource that we were able to toggle to immediately when we were impacted by a wildfire. So this was the first time we were able to utilize it, and we were very pleased with the ease to switch things over, so all of the resources would be just top of the mind when you go to the APCD website. On Wednesday, the Goleta station had the highly hourly concentration. It was unhealthy on the AQI scale from 12 to 1 p.m. Santa Barbara also had a high hourly concentration. It was one level less than unhealthy. It was unhealthy from sensitive groups from 1 to 2 p.m. Miraculously, conditions improved on Thursday. Goleta and Santa Barbara both had readings in the moderate range. Elsewhere in the county, it was in the good green range. On Friday, the 15th, the air quality alert was downgraded to an air quality watch. One thing to note, each time we issued the watch or an alert, we also distributed text messages to individuals who signed up for that notification. These text notifications are in English and Spanish. Email notifications were also provided for individuals who signed up for those. Many agencies and individuals also shared our air quality message throughout the week on social media. And the news, we had great reception to all of our news releases as well. Once again, the EPA fire and smoke map, fire.airnow.gov, is a very useful device. Information. It provides not only our federal reference methods, but it combines the low-cost sensors, the purple air devices that are throughout the region, the state, and even the portable devices. And like many others, we are greatly appreciative of the quick response from the fire agency and the tireless work during challenging conditions to get the fire contained and smoke impacts minimized. Overall, I think from an air quality point of view, we were just so fortunate with this fire. And now it's pretty much contained. So we can hope that with our rains that are on the horizon, that the impacts are manageable. All right, the next item is attainment status. I have two items that relate to CARB's, California Air Resources Board action and designation of our region. I've mentioned this before related to the state ozone standard. While we have had tremendous progress towards meeting the two California ozone standards, one for the 1 hour of 0.09 ppm, and also the second is an 8-hour 0.7 parts per million. With with recent data that we experienced through the 2017, 18, and 19 window, we violated the 8-hour standard. And that resulted in CARB action changing our designation from attainment back to non-attainment. This happened earlier this year in February 2021, and this is a process that CARB goes through every year. As CARB board takes action, it's then forwarded on to the Office of Administrative Law, and September 27th, 2021, it became official. So now Santa Barbara County is officially non-attainment. The district staff is developing a schedule and assembling information to prepare our 2022 ozone plan, which will be our roadmap, our new roadmap to reach the state ozone standard, to attain that standard. We'll be developing this plan with input from our Community Advisory Council and then bringing it to your board for consideration. And that date is tentatively set for towards the end of 2022, that we'll be bringing the plan back to you for consideration. On some good news related to designation, CARB has begun their annual designation process, and we've been informed from staff that they're proposing to change our attainment status for fine particulate matter of 2.5 micrograms per cubic meter from unclassified to attainment. In June 2002, CARB adopted the new annual average standard for PM 2.5 of 12 micrograms per cubic meter. And since 2003, when CARB first designated areas for our attainment status, Santa Barbara County, we were designated as unclassified. We did not have a complete data set, a 3-year data set that could be utilized for designates either attainment or non-attainment. Since the Air District took over the Santa Barbara Air Monitoring Station from CARB, we now have enough data to support this finding that we are below the state annual average of 12 micrograms per cubic meter. This attainment status is based on data gathered over a 3-year window of 2018, 19, and 20. This item is set to go before the board, the CARB board, on February, in the month of February 2022, and then it will also go through the administrative law, Office of Administrative Law, in the fall of 2022. All right, I have 2 more items to bring to your board's attention. One is a new piece of legislation that was adopted this year relating to small off-road engines. It's got a lot of attention. They call it SOAR is the acronym for small off-road engines. In the budget bill junior, SB 170, $30 million was earmarked by CARB for incentive programs for small off-road engines. This applies specifically to professional landscaping services in California that are operated by small businesses or sole proprietors to purchase zero-emission small off-road equipment. That's limited to, but it includes but not limited to leaf blowers, lawnmowers, and it will be used by professional landscaping services. Also this session, AB 1346 was passed that directs CARB to ban the sale of gas-powered lawnmowers, leaf blowers, chainsaws as early as 2024 or at whatever practical, what's feasible, what the state determines is feasible. Under this new direction, this new piece of legislation, CARB will also be looking at portable gas-powered generators also being zero emission. And that date is by 2028 or whatever is feasible. Both of these dates could be delayed depending on CARB's schedule to adopt and their analysis as they go through the process. The law is applied to engines that produce, that are 25 horsepower or less than 25 gross horsepower, excuse me. And I think I mentioned most of what it applies to as far as lawnmowers, weed trimmers, leaf blowers, golf carts, and generators. And just to note, there are over 16.7 million of these engines operating in California. And the reason I bring this to your attention today is it really highlights the significance of our 2 LEAF pilot projects, our incentive projects that we have in place, and the importance of us seeking out and securing as much funding stream as possible to work with local businesses, local agencies as well, to ensure that we can provide funding to these individuals to get them into the zero emission world before it's required to be the manufacture point. So we will definitely keep you updated when the $30 million is awarded statewide, how best we can position Santa Barbara County in securing some of those funds. And the last item I wanted to mention, and I do have an image for this one, we are very excited to announce that on September 23rd, 2021, the district closed the deal and we are now owners of 1011 West McCoy property in Santa Maria. With assistance from County General Services, we're currently walking through the process to secure an architect who began the remodeling efforts. And if all the stars align, we hope to be able to bring staff into the new building the first half of 2022. And on September 23rd, when we took ownership of the keys, we were able to bring APCD staff up to the building and do a walkthrough of the premises as it is today, with the goal of securing everyone's input on different ideas and suggestions that we want to incorporate into the remodeling effort. And it was a great success for all of our staff to be able to get up there. There's just so much possibility for us and this building and having a great presence up in North County. So that concludes my APCO report.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on our director's report?
We have a comment from Director Nelson.
Go ahead, Director Nelson.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations on the building. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
And then I want to make sure I got the math correctly there. $30 million coming from the state on for incentives to remove these small off-road engines.
That was what included in the current budget, the budget
there's
junior bill.
And there's 16 million.
16.7 million. It's an estimate.
So about $1.70 per piece of equipment.
Yeah, obviously that's not enough funding to change out all of the engines that we have. I think it's one of the first efforts by the state to earmark funding specifically for this category. But a lot more is going to be needed in order to replace all 16.7 million. One thing to note as it relates to this new piece of legislation, it applies to the manufacturer point, not to the end user. So it's not that if you own a gas-powered device, you would have to stop using it by the dates I mentioned. It's when the manufacturer has to make those available on the marketplace. But locally, what I hope we can do is secure funding here to change out those devices earlier than that date actually is defined.
Sounds like we're going to have a robust secondary market out there in the future. And it's a little disappointing. This is the type of legislation that really impacts people of lower income status and often people of color disproportionately. And it's really disappointing to have a legislature. I mean, I understand what the goal is in mind,
Right.
but $30 million is a laughable joke. And anyway, I'll stop there.
I think it also just really puts a spotlight in the importance of what we can do locally. And as you said, Director Nelson, reaching out to the disadvantaged communities, making that a priority, I think that's a nice transition to the next presentation that we have for our air purifier program, and anything we can do to target the funding we have. And we see this a lot in our grant program. We have direction for some of our grant programs to target the low-income communities throughout the area. And we have a AB 1550 map. It's a piece of legislation that we always reference to that defines the low-income areas of our county. And it's been very instrumental for us as we move through either the farmer program or the clean air program under AB 617 to ensure that those dollars are going to regions in the area that are identified as low-income communities. And it's unfortunate to say, but we do have a lot of regions throughout the county that are captured in that map.
Any other questions or comments?
Chair Hartman, there are no additional comments from board members on Zoom.
I did have one, and that is, and I wished I could remember which day, but I had a couple of constituents write to me in the Santa Ynez Valley where we were smelling smoke, but the indicator said it was good air quality. So I said I would come and ask our director to explain how that could be, and I assume that we've got a stationary monitor at the airport, and somehow that didn't catch it.
Yeah, I think the fire and the smoke map is for this situation would be a great tool as well, as far as beyond just our one monitoring station, because there are a number of purple air in the San Ynez Valley that are captured on that map. And it's confusing at times. Our nose can be great, very powerful, and it can capture the smell of smoke, even though our monitoring devices aren't recording it at the same level that our nose is appreciating it. So we are recommending that everyone uses common sense and utilize all the tools that you have to make the decision that you need to make to take the next steps to protect your health and that of your family. So if you see it, if you smell it, that's one of the first things to keep in mind. And then also utilizing the resources of the fire and smoke map for what's being measured. And then the clean air room. Make sure you have your clean air room well equipped and working. And that it means turning on your air purifier. A lot of times people are hesitant. When do I use it? If you see it, smell it, and it's beginning to elevate as part of our monitoring network, take action.
Thank you. So next on our agenda is public comment on matters that are not on today's agenda. Do we have any desire of members of the public to speak, Madam Clerk?
Chair Hartman, we received no public comments.
All right, that takes us to discussion item number 1. Would you read that into the record?
Certainly. Discussion item I1, an update on the Clean Air Rooms pilot program. Receive and file an update on the 2021 Clean Air Rooms pilot program, including program recap and the plan to purchase a limited number of additional air purifiers to fulfill a waiting list.
Today, we're going to have Liz provide our presentation on this program, and I just have to say, she's going to mention it. This was approved by your board in June, and we had it wrapped up in the end of September. And she's been one busy public information officer lately, going from this program, a brand new program, and then right into wildfire impacts of the area. So thank you, Liz, for your presentation.
Thank you, Erin. Good afternoon, Chair Hartman and board members. Like Erin said, I'm Liz Bantalon, the district's public information officer. I'm excited to share the next 9 slides with you, highlighting the great success of our Clean Air Rooms pilot program. As you'll see, I included several photos throughout the presentation that were taken as part of this program. So just for some background, as you recall, at your June 17th board meeting, your board authorized the district to implement this program. The goal of the program was to provide as many air purifier devices to residents of select Santa Barbara County communities as possible within our budget for the program. As we've mentioned many times, air purifiers are a great tool to keep indoor air clean when wildfire smoke is affecting us. We determined that the communities of Guadalupe and Casmelia would most benefit from this program due to certain economic and environmental factors. We shared with your board that the air purifiers would be given away on a first-come, first-served basis, limited to 1 per household, and participants would need to provide proof of address to be eligible. After your approval in June, we hit the ground running on this program. We worked to determine the best vendor for the program and were able to purchase 656 devices with our $100,000 budget. The device that we purchased met all of our requirements, including coming with replacement filters, as well as having an Energy Star rating, quiet operation, and an indicator light for filter replacement. From there, we moved on to coordinating the logistics of having 656 devices delivered and stored leading up to our distribution events. We were very, very fortunate to partner with the Guadalupe Dune Center and the neighboring Cultural Arts and Education Center for this program. They generously offered to help the district staff break down pallets, 28 pallets, if I'm remembering correctly, during the delivery and storing the devices. And they also helped us with outreach leading up to the event and hosted the distribution days at their facility in Guadalupe. Together with the Dune Center and other partners, we decided on the dates for our program, a Sunday and a Thursday, and then kicked our outreach process into high gear. These are photos from the Dune Center. You can see that they let us use a lot of their available space for storing these devices. We are very grateful, like I said, to the Dune Center for their outreach assistance, as well as the many other partners who made this program so popular. The City of Guadalupe, and thank you to Director Julian for his help. The city emailed flyers for us, distributed hard copy flyers, and provided guidance on other stakeholders that we should loop into this process. And the city, as you can see in this photo, also put some information on their sign on the theater, which was really cool. The Guadalupe Union School District was also very helpful, sharing 1,400 flyers that we provided with them for all of their students to take home. Other outreach partners included the Promotores Network, who helped spread the word in English, Spanish, and Mixteco, Los Amigos de Guadalupe, and many others. We also shared hard copy flyers in Casmelia and targeted next door posts to those residents. In addition to these outreach methods that I've shared, we also made many bilingual social media posts, emailed flyers to a wide audience, and secured some media coverage leading up to the event. Leading up to the distribution days on Sunday, September 26th and Thursday. So needless to say, when we showed up to start setting up for the event on the first day, we were extremely excited that there were people waiting in line already outside the Dune Center well before the start time. And that was also the case on the second day, with people lined up waiting to participate. So we worked quickly to keep that line moving. All okay, Lorena? Okay. We worked quickly to keep that line moving and gave out waters and snacks while people were waiting and thanked them for their patience. So both days were incredibly successful, lots of smiling faces like this individual here, with all 656 devices claimed between the 2 days. In addition to receiving the air purifier that they received, each participant also received a district tote bag filled with many relevant bilingual materials, our Clean Air Rooms infographic series that we have, guidance on how to purchase your own air purifier if you wanted another one, magnets on how to interpret the air quality readings so that you know when to use the air purifier, and how to keep up with APCD information on our website and social media. We also had a booth with the Promotores at the events. They were able to answer any questions in Spanish and Mixteco, as well as provide instructions on how to make the DIY version of an air purifier. And I should note that we will be working further with the Promotores in the coming months to survey the program participants about their experience with the program and using the devices. Here are just a few more photos from the distribution days. Thank you to Director Hartman and her staff for attending and taking these photos and sharing them with us. We love the one, all of them, but especially the one with the man on his bike taking the air purifier home. Overall, this program was incredibly positive and an incredible opportunity for our agency to connect with stakeholders and residents of Guadalupe and Casmelia, and we look forward to building on those relationships. We also received positive media coverage of the event, as well as a lot of interest from CARB and several other air districts asking about the ins and outs of our program. So as you've seen from some of the photos and this photo on this slide, the lines were very long for both days of this event. And due to that high demand, not everyone who showed up was able to receive a device. Those who were interested in receiving a device, if more funding were to become available, were allowed to put their names on a waiting list. And we had approximately 140 people put their names down. After the event, we looked at our budget, and realizing some unforeseen cost savings, we decided that we could allocate up to $20,000 in our operating budget to purchase a device for all eligible people on that waiting list. So after this meeting, we will work to purchase the same device or one very, very similar, and coordinate the logistics of having those delivered, stored, and then notifying the waiting list individuals. And we'll probably have a pickup event at our new Santa Maria office building. So as a reminder, at your June board meeting, your board authorized the district to spend $100,000 for this pilot, funded in part by a Clean Air Fund and in part by operational reserves. We'll also be spending up to $20,000 to make the waiting list whole. And all administrative costs associated with this program have been covered in our current budget. So this pilot program, it focused on the communities of Guadalupe and Casmelia, but a second important part of the program for us has been and will continue to be outreach to all county residents on the importance of setting up a clean air room so that their indoor air quality can be safe and clean during smoke events. We've shared our infographic series with you before. We have underway right now animated versions of those that will have voiceover in English, Spanish, and Mixteco, working with the promotorists on that further. Another part of this effort will be tying in understanding of how to interpret air quality data so that you know when to use an air purifier device. We'll be using lots of tools in our toolbox to promote this concept, and we'll do so until the end of this fire season, and then again leading up to next year's fire season. As Director Hartman mentioned, we've done some work on this already between the pilot program and the Alisol fire. I did an interview, and that's linked here if you'd like to listen to it later. And we also included messaging on clean air rooms in our Alisol fire outreach. In closing, in addition to all the partners who helped us with this program, I'd like to give a special thanks to the Dune Center. I believe on Zoom we have two members from the Dune Center, the Executive Director, Alexis Elias, and the Outreach Coordinator, Christina Hernandez. I'd also like to thank Dune Center Board President, Karen Evangelista, as well as her family, the Talaugan family, so many of whom helped us with breaking down the pallets and storing the devices, and did a lot of the literal heavy lifting on the distribution days to make sure that the air purifiers were teed up and ready to go when we needed to hand them out. So we're really grateful for their partnership, and like I said, look forward to working with them more. I'd also like to thank our staff, my colleagues who helped with the storage of the devices. This photo here, sweatier looking than usual, and who helped at our distribution days, including our board clerk, Lorena, who was able to provide very valuable Spanish translation and interpretation on site. So with that, I'm done with my presentation and can answer any questions you might have.
So does the board members have any questions or comments about this program?
Chair Hartman, we have a comment from Director Julian.
Okay.
Yes, to all the staff at APCD, we're very impressed with your efforts to actually penetrate the city of Guadalupe and the need that we had with the air purifiers. We also want to take, I want to take this minute to let you know about the incentive program that one of those photos you have is 1065 Guadalupe Street, which is the Cultural Arts Center and the home of the Guadalupe Sports Hall of Fame, who received battery-powered a blower, 2 weed whackers, battery packs, chainsaws, and we're using them already. And the city of Guadalupe also received incentive money, and we have a battery-operated lawnmower and other equipment. And just for your information, we're partnering with the Dune Center, who have the old Far Western building that needs cleaning up. And we're taking our equipment and our volunteers to actually use the equipment that we purchased through the incentive program to weed, whack, and clear the parking lot at the Dune Center. That's this Saturday at 9 o'clock. But we were impressed with the outreach that you all provided, with the support that you have for the community of Guadalupe, especially air purifiers. Nobody in Guadalupe has air conditioning, and there's a lot of asthma in our youth population and our elder population. So really appreciate your efforts at making the impact that you made. If you get tacos, free tacos, you'll have an assembly like this. When you have your effort like you provided just recently with air purifiers, hats off to you and all the staff that helped, and also the volunteers. So thank you.
Any other? Oh, go ahead.
Just in response to that, I have to say this was one of the most special events that I've ever participated in all my time working for air districts. The community was extremely interested and engaged in the importance of clean air for their room, and they shared a lot as they worked through we had 3 different stations you walk through. They shared a lot with us as far as asthma, as was just mentioned, and the importance of anything that will help them. And I just feel like if we have more opportunity doing this throughout the entire region would be so beneficial. It gave us the opportunity to just really talk to people. Unfortunately, the line was long and it took some time to get through. So I was walking and talking and sharing information on air quality as best as I could. And as Liz mentioned, having Lorena present and the promotores present and staff from the Dune Center speaking in Spanish, it just was an excellent opportunity for us. So Mayor Julian, thank you for helping us get the outreach to all of the individuals to make it possible. It was an overwhelming success. So Liz and your leadership, and this is something that other air districts are looking to us and saying, how'd you do it? We want to do that as well. So it's nice to be at the tip of the sword with a very successful program.
And are there any other comments from any directors?
Chair Hartman, it doesn't look like there are additional comments from
And
board
is there any
members.
public comment?
And at the moment, there's no public comment on Zoom.
Well, it was a really celebratory, and having the food and something to drink and to talk to people, it felt like a community celebration rather than just handing something out. And everybody came out to talk to each other. It was just, maybe it's partly COVID and the sense of being isolated, but it really did have a lovely vibration to it. And all the outreach and coordination, everybody was surprised. How did you reach all these people from Casmalia and all over Guadalupe? It was really extraordinary. So thank you for such a successful event. I think that we don't need to vote on it, and the 20,000 is within your discretion. So that really concludes the business of our meeting today. This meeting will be rebroadcast Sunday, October 24th at 5 p.m. on the County of Santa Barbara TV Channel 20. And this meeting is adjourned until we convene again 1 p.m. December 16th, our last meeting of the year.
We'll actually have a special meeting now.
Oh, yes.
I'll work with Chair
That's
Perotti
right.
on
That's
that.
right.
Yep,
Yeah, we have to
but
have a
we-
meeting to
yep.
set the meeting. Sorry. Thank you much. We are now adjourned.